All right, so we're on. All right, so I'm going to just get right to some of you guys' questions. Thanks for your patience there. That was embarrassing. Okay, so Rudy got me some questions, and I think there's some really good ones. Basically, this first question was, how did I even get into foreign cinema? I am American, and I believe, Rudy's in America, so he might know well that there's many American people are not that interested in foreign cinema, at least as far as when I was younger. I was really the only one that I knew where I grew up. So I grew up in Spokane, Washington in the Northwest. Really none of my friends, except when I moved to Idaho for high school, I started working at a video store, and my coworkers there, of course, were really into movies, and I could meet really my first people that I could talk to about foreign cinema. But my interest really started probably when I was in, I would say, late middle school, early high school, probably around 8th or ninth grade. And really, I've always been into movies, but my dad and I were probably the most adventurous as far as exploring film was concerned. And we probably went to the video store at least once a week. And I was getting into, at that time, more independent cinema. And I guess that kind of started getting into more foreign cinema. But there's a few titles that I remember very specifically that really kind of got me searching really for whatever I could find. One of them was Amores Perros, the Mexican film from Alejandro Inarritu Gonzalez. I remember I watched that with my dad, and that was just one of those, they had a single disc at the video store on the wall, and we're like, that looks interesting. I had some festivals that it went to. That was really the only way you could tell that something was fairly well received. And so we watched that, and it kind of blew me away. And I was really kind of just going for anything that looked interesting. And I kind of got it pushed a little bit more and more towards, I would say, extreme type cinema. But because of my very, very youth days, I was into Taekwondo, karate. And so I'd say East Asia was always kind of a fascination or an interest of mine. I always wanted to be a ninja. So, of course, I was watching any type of martial arts films that I could find. And that led me into Hong Kong cinema, Japanese cinema. And then, I started finding people like Takeshi Kitano, Takashi Miike, of course, all of the old classics like Kurosawa and everything. So it just kind of built from there. And if you watched my Shiri, my first Korean movie story video here, that really was the tip of the iceberg for how I found Korean cinema. And at that time, really the only way you could find out about Korean movies was through online message boards. So I was definitely an active member. I didn't post that much, but I was an active member on the website Kung Fu Cult Cinema, and basically people would just blind buy and import Region 3 Korean movies, Japanese movies, Chinese movies, Hong Kong movies on DVD, and they'd share their thoughts, like, check this one out. Of course, once you'd start watching, you could follow certain directors, actors, hype. At that time, there was like Kim Ki-duk, Park Chan-wook, like a few directors that would make the film festival circuit that you could always be hyped for. But in general, the only way to see these movies was to take a gamble and spend your hard-earned cash, sometimes a miss, and import some of these DVDs. The beauty of that was the limited edition packaging. So that's when I really started becoming a collector. But I think I've always been kind of a collector since my early days, whether it was action figures, toys. That's just kind of in my personality, is to collect. So I think when, VHS, I had a VHS library when I was young. Anytime a video store was going out of business, of course, I would be there first day to take their posters or buy their old rentals for like 50 cents or $1. So when DVD came around, I was right on there. I remember The Matrix, Heat, Interview with the Vampire, or a couple of my first DVDs that I ever got. So, the old Warner Brothers snap cases. But when I found Korean limited editions, just owning the package was enough for, even if the movie wasn't that good, it was worth the gamble for me. So I got into it really from there. Of course, I guess some other foreign cinema that I was into when I was younger, Pedro Almodovar from the Spanish filmmaker. Let's see. I loved the film Amelie. So I guess, and I guess I kind of had a little bit of a formal education when I was in university. I studied radio, TV, digital media, and like a film minor. So I had a lot of film courses that would show a lot of European stuff, especially. But I remember watching City of God, just anything. I thought foreign cinema was the cinema. So I slowly gravitated more towards East Asia because of that website, Kung Fu Cult Cinema. But basically, it just started with an adventurous mindset, and I loved it. So hopefully that answered your question on how I got into foreign cinema in general. Korean cinema in particular, that was Shiri, which opened my world up completely. I did not even know. I knew of Korea just because, like, I did Taekwondo a little bit, but I did not know they made films. Like, to me, it was like, I guess, like Myanmar or something. I didn't know. I wouldn't even imagine that they have a booming cinema industry. So when I saw Shiri, I thought like this was blockbuster level. I couldn't believe it. So that's when I found like that Kung Fu Cult Cinema website and started just going from there. And I saw that they had reviewed other Korean films like Attack the Gas Station, just what else was at that time? Volcano High School, Musa the Warrior. These were sort of the movies like My Sassy Girl, early from the early 2000s that were like, oh, you like this one? Check out this, check out that. And it just kind of went from there. I remember I was importing my DVDs from an eBay seller named, I think his name was like Mr. Kwang. So I don't know if anyone bought from him or not, but he was like my contact. I loved getting his packages. So the next question was, why do I change the movies facing the camera? Okay, like Man on High Heels. So I did grab a couple. There's really no rhyme or reason why I'm doing this, but I basically have been holding out on buying a lot of Blu-rays just because of the short, small chance, just please Blu-ray gods, shine a light, that they would be released. And it's looking more and more like a lot are not going to be released on Blu-ray, Korean films specifically. And as much as my heart hurts, I need these films in my collection. So I've been recently buying a lot of films that I've been waiting for on DVD. So most of my DVD collection for Korean movies is in like a big CD wallet, and I digitized a lot of them too for when I moved to Korea. So I have an amazing, amazing treasure vault trove of limited edition Korean movie DVDs at my parents' place in some boxes in America. So every time I go there, I usually open the boxes and look through them, go through some of the memories that I had. But it was just kind of unfeasible to pack those and ship them over here. And I've moved several times, and you guys may know, if you have a collection like this, moving is the last thing you want to do. It's nightmare. So recently I've been, picking up some of these DVDs and, like trying to figure out how I'm going to incorporate these into my collection. So originally I had actually brought my Crying Fist, you can see it there, limited edition Korean DVD from the States because I knew at that time I had my channel going and I was like, that I just need that with me, like the physical copy, just I need it near me. But I always thought that that would be a cool, like, decorative item to put in the back. So originally I had that one and it was there for a while. But recently, as I've been getting some other DVDs, like I got Man on High Heels, I got the Truth Beneath. The truth is that the one with Sonia Jin? Truth Beneath. Bimirun Opta is the Korean title, but yeah, the one got that one. I've been picking up a lot, and the beauty that I found is these DVDs, the one, at least the movies that were released like fairly recently. I don't think the technology has gotten better, but maybe the file size has gotten better. They look really, really good on my system, and I have a LG OLED TV that does a amazing job with like the picture, like there's this HDR effect. My Blu-ray player is the Oppo UDP, so it also is able to upscale, and they look phenomenal. Like some of them look better than some of my Blu-rays. So I'm actually a little bit okay with getting DVD, even though I very much prefer Blu-ray. So as I've been kind of trying to put them somewhere, when I got my Man on High Heels, I was like, oh my God, I love the color. I've always loved the art on that one. So definitely wanted that one faced out. And then I got a couple more and I'm like, okay, I'm running out of space. So I wanted to show you a couple that I have not actually put faced out, but I really like them. This one is the Hypnotized. This one stars Kim Hae-soo and Kim Tae-woo. And the cover is kind of freaky, but this one definitely freaked me out when I first watched it. But it's really artistically done, and I love the look of this film, even though I didn't particularly love the movie when I first watched it. I've enjoyed it more just based on the like set design, and there's other aspects of film that I'm really into these days. This one really does it for me. So cover's kind of freaky, so I don't know how putting that would look, but it's, you know, one of those older digipack limited or special editions that are really cool looking. So you can see the back there and the bloody bathtub. Pretty awesome looking. Here's the inside cover of the digipack. It's a cool poster. Opens up. And oh my goodness, the disc is loose. Whoa. Guess I'm glad I opened this. So one of the things that I've noticed getting these older special editions is some of them are kind of like these digipack plastic parts. They're kind of held on there with glue, and a lot of the glue has kind of come off. Just it's been so long. So you got to be careful when you open these. So inside, I love DVD digipacks. Love them. That's why you guys might know the CJ Entertainment limited edition digipack collection is one of my favorite Blu-ray collections. Oh boy. Okay, yeah, Nightmare. That's kind of what I'm talking about. They just don't hold well in these things anymore. Just too old. Luckily, that's okay. So Hypnotized is one of my favorite, you know, older special edition DVDs that I have here. I so wish that I had my access to my collection from the States. I would probably show you Once Upon a Time in High School limited edition. I would probably show you the Marathon limited edition. I would show you my Sumido limited edition that came with like a plaque film cell. Oh my God, just so many amazing ones from back in the day. Let's see. Another one I have here is a really cool cover. It's Into the Mirror. with UGT, and wow, it is shiny like a mirror. It is just so reflective that I thought putting it back there might be almost distracting. The back, you can see here, you can see my screen there. It is really a mirror. So I really like the case on this one most of all. But yeah, it's just a normal 2-disc DVD edition. And I guess one of the cool things about this one is it came with a huge book. I mean, look, that is just so shiny. And inside the book is the screenplay, I believe. So there's no pictures or anything, but it's cool to have the screenplay in a book like this. So the other one that I wanted to show is another reflective title of reflective cover. This is Wonderful Days, and I want to include it on my next episode of my Korean sci-fi series. This is the DVD version. I just love the cover there and the back with that stained glass reflective. And besides that, I had one more. And it's one that I never actually owned originally, and I had to buy it used. So the quality, the condition is not ideal. And if this was mine from back in the day, mine are all, they look brand new. I'm so careful and crazy with them. This is the massive Windstruck limited edition. Oh my goodness. It was just a beast that I had to get because I wanted the soundtrack. And it's interesting here. This definitely came from a smoker's home because it had like some yellow stains, or maybe they just had dirty hands. This is just like a wooden box with the glass thing. It was pretty cool. I love anything with this sticker. Hanjongpan means limited edition in Korea. This one had 4 discs. Oh my God. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sorry. It actually opens like this. Kind of reminds me of the Host limited edition DVD. I don't know if you guys picked that one up. Kind of with this big plastic. So this is another massive Digipack DVD edition. I got to be careful here. The discs are probably pretty loose, like hypnotized. Whoa. Almost impossible to open. It's so big. Massive. So I love this one. I've thought about putting it face out. I probably will one of these days. It came with all of these really nice cards as well. And a book. It was better. The Korean title is I'm going to introduce you to my girlfriend. I want to introduce you to my girlfriend, not Windstruck. But a really nice image book here. So this is one of those movies that I also did not really love when I first saw it because I had way crazy high expectations for it. And I've sort of learned not to do that anymore. I guess I will, share with you guys also that as far as expectations go, I don't even watch movie trailers anymore until after the movie. And I've been doing that for probably 5 years now, where I don't really watch the trailer. I did it once early last year as I was going to make a video series about like expecting movies coming out of the month. And so I had to kind of use the images from the trailer in my videos. But when coronavirus came out, and none of those movies ended up coming out. I kind of did away with that video idea. So, but that got me watching trailers, and I was like, I don't want to watch trailers. And it has been a whole new world. I can't recommend it enough. Trailers, to me, in the modern day, just really ruin movies. I don't even like seeing a scene that they're skiing. I'm like, in the trailer, because when I go to watch the movie, I'm like, where's the scene with the skiing when something explodes? I know something's going to happen. I don't like that. So I really just want to know the actors and the director, and I like just building my own expectations, or not having any. And I've been very happy with that approach. So that's my little thing on trailers. So hope you liked seeing some of those ones that I don't face out. Living in Korea has changed a lot over the years. I first moved here back in 2009, late 2009. So you can almost call it 2010. And at that time, there really were not even close to as many foreigners living here. So at that time, it was definitely I was more of a novelty. Just, you draw more eyes. Of course, people still kind of look at you here because it is not very common to see a foreigner unless you're in certain parts of downtown. There's a couple districts where basically all you're going to see is foreigners. And that, of course, you'd blend right in. But I would say in most areas of Korea, even in Seoul, where you live, you're going to draw eyes as a foreigner. So it's good and bad. You can get away with things, but also I guess it kind of that novelty aspect where you're a novelty and people kind of want to tell you how good you are with chopsticks, or how great your pronunciation is when you just said one word in Korean, like thank you. I guess it gets a little bit old, and there was a time where I really wished that I looked Korean, that I could just kind of go outside and just blend in, and not have to kind of always be on my A game, because there are some stereotypes and there are some prejudices towards foreigners here. And so I always really want to represent the best I can, because I know that my experience, there are some people that will go home and share that with their family, their young kids, their interaction with me. And I always want it to be positive, because I've taught English here. I guess I'll get to that very soon. But I just want that experience, that takeaway, to be on and make a net positive, because there are a lot of foreigners here who just kind of come for party, for travel, or just military. They don't want to be here. And Korea they try with the language, but you're going to go to a lot of places that they will not understand you. The menu might not have any English on it. I guess that is changing, but some people could get really frustrated and make a scene, foreigners. So I definitely want to push back on that as much with my good behavior. So sometimes, you're just not having a great day. I want to blend in, but I can't. So I kind of been embracing my foreignness a little bit recently, and I've been enjoying my experience more in Korea, doing that. So basically, how did I even get here? What's going on? Kind of a long story. I'll try to give you the abridged version and as entertaining as possible, but let me get a sip of coffee. When I was a university student in America, I was very, very much into Korean cinema, Japanese cinema, Hong Kong cinema. And I made the decision to pick a foreign language to study, because I really wanted to have an experience outside of the United States. Something close to what I was seeing in movies, something different. So I first tried to study Korean, and my university, actually went to the University of Idaho. They did not have anything related to Korea, and the only exchange program that they had was for engineering students. So I had to kind of put that away, and I'm like, okay, well, what are my other options? I love Japanese cinema too. There was a Japanese program and I decided to study Japanese so I could go on exchange. And that was probably the best decision I ever made because my year experience, well, not even my year experience in Japan was just untoppable. It was so amazing. I lived in Nagasaki for a year and it was best year of my life probably. But the great thing about that decision was I was able to connect with so many international students right before I was going to leave because I got some exchange partners, language exchange partners, before I left for Japan that they had actually came from that university and they were at my university in America. So I was able to connect with them and I had some contacts that way when I went to Japan, as well as the great thing was because I had built those relationships with the international like community at my university. Even when I came back after a year, I still had some ins, and actually the landscape had changed dramatically from when I got back. So when I got back to America, basically all of the Japanese affiliations with those universities had ended with my school for whatever reason. I don't know what, but they had picked up all of these connections with Korean universities instead. So I came back and there was this huge group of Korean students, and I was like, oh my God. And I actually met my first Korean friends living in Japan because I went to a foreign language university there. It was so awesome talking to them. Even when I would say names like Lee Byung-hun or Park Chan-wook, they're like, yeah, yeah, we know them. Wow. And they were so impressed that I knew these names or I was even interested. So it was awesome. And when I got back, there were so many Korean students and my friends who we already had established a Korean film club before I went to Japan. So those students who had come from Korea were like, well, Korean film, what is going on here? And so I instantly had like this network of people that I was able to interact with. If I went to any like parties or friend gatherings, even our Korean movie nights, we had some Korean people come over, just wanted to check it out. So one of my friends actually, when I had got back, was dating um, a Korean student from who had been studying abroad there. So from and he's my best friend. So the three of us, she had many Korean friends. I was able to meet a lot of Korean people. And so after about, my original plan was to graduate and to go back to Japan because I loved it so much. I was probably going to try and teach English or just do something to get back there. My dream, of course, was to work somehow in television, somehow in film, but in that industry in Japan was you either needed a lot of money or I needed a connection. I just needed fluent Japanese. My Japanese was, I would say, below average. So my best ticket back was to become an English teacher. So when I met all of these people from Korea, I had all of these friends, and I ended up actually also dating a Korean student who had come. And so after about a year, I thought it would be a great opportunity to visit for the first time. And so I came here with her for a month and we stayed with her family, which was interesting. I think I definitely could not tell her parents, very conservative here, that we were dating. I was a friend who helped her a lot. So they were very thankful for me for helping her in America, which I did help her a lot. So I was able to stay with them for a month. It was a great experience. But while I was here, I just asked some people around, like, hey, what are some famous English academies like to learn English? And they told me, well, there's this huge one in Gangnam, the downtown, one of the major downtown districts in Seoul. And so I emailed someone who worked there. I set up an interview. I went in there and they were like, "You look like Tom Cruise." And yeah, they started showing me around and they said, "When could you start?" And so after that month, I went back to the States. It was about, I'd say it was about a few months that it took to process all my paperwork and get me started. And I was back in Korea 3 months later on my first teaching contract. And I taught adults at that time, private English lessons. And that was my first life experience. You know, I got my apartment. Even my girlfriend at the time, she had gone back to the States. She actually still had 1 year left to finish, to graduate. So did a long distance thing there. And I actually had I had three friends who I graduated with. Two of them actually had studied in Japan with me, who were living in Korea, also teaching at other academies. So I had three or four friends. We're all teaching English, and we really had such an awesome time. The money was also pretty good. Cost of living was pretty low. Did not need a car. You're on health insurance here, and I was able to save up a lot of money. And so I was like, I could definitely do this again. So after my year, I went back to the States for a year. Again, I was trying to help my girlfriend get a job in the States for her resume moving forward. That did not happen. Ended up coming back to Korea. So that was in late 2011, and I've been here ever since. So I've had several different teaching jobs, from first graders to middle schoolers, early high school, and adults. So these days I have a few private lessons. I actually had my last contract job in 2019. So that's why my channel is basically blank from 2019, because I was so busy teaching English at that place, kind of restocking the bank account and whatnot. But at that time, before that, I was able to enroll in a university here and study more Korean. And I had basically used all the savings that I had to pay for that university to study Korean, and just to kind of build my interest. So one of my friends who was also a teacher here, we had the idea to make a website just for fun, the Movie Beat, and we would review Korean movies, Japanese movies, just kind of a place to write about movies, basically, and maybe to post some news articles about film festivals and whatnot. But we did this very much for fun. And when he ended up leaving Korea, he had no time to work on it anymore. And so I kind of just took it as my own. And I really was into Blu-rays. And so I really wanted to make an unboxing video. And I had so much fun making my unboxing video. I think it's my first video on my YouTube channel. It's for I Saw the Devil Plane Archive, which I had been buying some Blu-rays, but during my years of teaching English, I just really did not have a lot of time to watch movies, to buy movies. I was basically just kind of busy teaching, and then on the weekends go out with my friends. So when I got that Plane Archive release of I Saw the Devil, all those old collecting, that feeling that you get of wanting to get more, all came back to me, and I thought, I'm back. And Plane Archive was like my new religion, and I just wanted anything and everything. So I got into collecting Nova Media, the Amore series, the Nova Media exclusives, Kimchi DVD, the Blue Collection. I was all about it, and I basically have brought me to now. And I was doing unboxing videos on my channel, and I got the idea to try to make a video review. And I think my first video review was for Burning, the Korean, Burning. and I got a pretty good response from that video. Of course, that movie ended up becoming way bigger than I thought it was. I knew it was the masterpiece, but um, just the success of that film, I think that video particularly got a lot of attention. I thought, wow, people aren't really visiting my website, and if this is a place where I can interact with more people, that's really what I wanted to do. Because right now, just an update on my life situation here. Pretty much all of my friends who I originally knew who came to Korea are back, in their home countries now, Canada, United States, wherever they came from. And there's nobody I can talk to about films, and that's my first passion in life is just movies, and Korean movies is my special focus. So continuing with my channel, I've actually found a way to kind of continue that dialogue, even though a lot of it is with myself. I'm so glad that I've been able to, even do something like this, talk movies, talk DVDs, talk Blu-rays, whatever. That's sort of my goal. And if I can somehow, just keep it going in a way that people like, that's what I want to do. So maybe we can talk more about my life situation in the next one, because it's kind of dragging here. I apologize for that. Next question was the second disc on Yesterday. Good question. I was checking back on my video and I really just brushed over it, so I apologize for that. Yesterday, I loved this movie so much. I don't something about it. It seemed kind of ballsy to make a movie like this. It seems like a big budget, and they really don't explain a lot, and they kind of ask a lot of the audience in this one, and I like that. I also just love the style of it. So the second disc was actually packed of special features, and it includes some notes on the production, and it's basically like a bunch of slides, and it's all in Korean, talking about maybe how they started production, during production, how they got some of the cast. It was long; it was hard for me to read. There's cast interview and making of, which is pretty cool because it's on set. There's a few outtakes, which were so-so, and there's a behind the story of the supporting actors. There's art interviews and sketches, like some concept art. The deleted scene, there was a couple in particular that I remember. They were kind of cool. One of them was just an extension of the scene where the cops raid that like sort of Chinatown bar, which I was like, okay, I'm glad they deleted this because they didn't need someone talking to the doorman very much. But there is one fight scene in this one that's on the rooftop, and it's in like knee-level water, and it looked really awesome. And you just basically get to see a lot of the choreography and the actual shooting of that scene, so you don't actually get to see it all glossed up and edited together. But a couple shots, they kind of show how it looked in the original cut. It looked really cool. So maybe they thought that was just a little bit too extra, but the fight scene was between a couple of the supporting character policemen and one of the criminals. So I guess they thought it's not the main character, too long, too elaborate of a fight, but it is a really cool hand-to-hand fight. They have a costume collection, still gallery, CG before and after, and the trailers, as well as what they say an Easter egg. I'll have to go back and try to find that. It's probably have to click around a bit, but tons of special features. So Yesterday, I would definitely recommend picking this up. Definitely worth. So thanks again, as always, guys. Hope you enjoyed this, and I hope to see and talk to you live next time. So until then, just keep watching movies.